Greetings and welcome to Connecting with Intent Formula Show. I'm your host Muhammad Awais. On this episode, we have a very special guest. She is founder and president at Zero Waste Strategies, Stacy Savage. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Stacy Savage. Stacy, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Well, I was sitting in my car and I was at a stoplight ready to turn into my neighborhood, and I was in a daydream and, just chilling, and something hit me from, wherever and said, Stacy, you need to start a business right now. You know, all the waste haulers, the recyclers, the food composters in the local area, the uh, lawmakers at the local and state level here in Texas, USA, and all of the environmental nonprofit executive directors. Why aren't you the hub for resources on zero waste, since this has been your career for 10 years or so? So the very next day I went down to the county government building, and I put down $17 and started my business. It was the best money I've ever spent. So here we are, almost 11 years later, working with major corporations and local government agencies on reducing waste through more recycling, more composting of food waste, and helping educate people on how their actions affect our planet.
What is your higher purpose in life?
Higher purpose, I think it's always been environmental protection, being a steward of the environment. So that has started whenever I was a very, very little girl, bringing home all the stray cats and dogs, and playing in, ditches and climbing trees, and just being out at one in nature. And so it started at a very young age, and it's followed me through my entire career path of being very environmentally conscious. But I didn't get into the environmental movement as a career until I was about 28 years old. So it was a little bit later in life for me to start making a living doing environmental protection work, and legislative lobbying efforts as well. And then eventually moving on to start my own business in consulting corporations and local governments on waste reduction.
What have been top three greatest challenges that you have had to overcome?
Um, well, I think being a woman in a male dominated industry has been a big eye opener for me as a professional, and being able to speak with people of all walks of life, from every religion and every political background, and making just common ground with people to say, our air and water is polluted. Do you agree? Yes. Okay. Let's discuss how we can fight, these pollutants in our atmosphere and in our water, and help your company take accountability, or help your residents in your local city be responsible and handle their waste materials a lot better than they normally would, and help doing the education. So that for me is establishing myself as a leader, as a woman leader, in a business that is has been dominated by men for over 100 years, at least here in the U.S. So getting people to listen to me and have relevant, understand that my ideas are relevant and have value. So I'm going to keep speaking about it. So. Another would be having, ADHD as a business owner and having a neurodivergent brain, which I first saw as a challenge, but now I feel more of it as a superpower because it allows me to look at problems and situations from very different angles than someone with a neurotypical brain. So that has helped me come to solutions that are creative and collaborative as well, where we can bring in other people to work on different solutions in non-traditional ways. And I think maybe the last challenge is I grew up in a polluted community as well. So I understand what it feels like to have brown, hazy skies and those rotten egg smells, wafting in the air. So it was something that, our whole community has been fighting for a very long time in Southeast Texas, off the Gulf Coast near the Louisiana border.
What is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
My greatest failure story is, well, like many people, it would be during COVID. And the vast majority of clients that we were servicing required that we were on site. And so the business model that we established in the beginning that worked pre-COVID did not work anymore, like many businesses. And thousands of businesses failed and they closed their doors. But as a consulting firm, we can do things remote now. And that failure, I did not have a backup plan. It was all eggs in this one basket, right? And a lot of times businesses, need to be able to pivot very quickly whenever things like this, like a global pandemic, arise, and we were not prepared. So that was a big lesson learned from owning a business and running a business in a certain way, and then something happening that you can no longer run your business on, and like that anymore. I couldn't be with people at their property anymore. So we had to do things from, over online and on Zoom calls. But we pivoted we recovered by creating an online training platform that helps businesses, entrepreneurs, executives, managers to learn the zero waste protocols and to implement them in their business. So now we have a program that businesses can do online instead.
What is the most impactful book you have read and what did you learn from it?
I believe the most impactful book was probably what's called Cradle to Cradle. And it helps people understand what happens to their materials like recycling and food waste, what happens to it whenever it goes to a landfill and when it starts to break down, and how we've lost those resources that we've already mined, extracted the raw materials, we've already refined the materials, we've already made them into a product. Once you're done with them, they should not go to a landfill. They should be looped in to a remanufacturing process so that you don't have to remine, refine, and remake with new products or new materials. You can use those old products and materials to make new products so that we're not stripping the earth of valuable natural resources. So Cradle to Cradle was a very eye-opening book that I read probably back in 1990. Well, no, maybe it was 2007, I believe.
Yeah. What are your goals for the next 12 months?
My goals for the next 12 months are to gain at least 25 new clients into our online training program, to be able to generate at least $250,000, and to be able to do on-site work now that we can go back to on-site consultations with our clients, to work with large businesses like we have in the past, such as Dell, AT&T, Apple, Nestle Purina. These are the big clients that we've worked with, and I would love to have additional larger clients that we can go in and assess their their properties and their operations and find ways to save them money and to reduce their waste even further.
What advice you will give to younger yourself?
What advice will I give to my younger self is to follow your instincts. You know, you have an inner being that guides you every day, and it's important to listen to your inner being. Of course, it's important also to listen to your mentors and people who have been in your industry for a very long time. But you know, the true voice in your mind and your heart, you know, is really what's leading you to your actual purpose on this planet. So I don't think that someone else's opinion should stray you from the path that you feel is right for you. So don't listen to other people unless they have many years of previous experience in what you want to be doing.
How can we support you?
Well, if you know your business clients that are listening, you know, to this podcast are interested in learning more about saving money through waste reduction, through empowering employees as well, and doing green marketing strategies so that we can get your name out there as a green company and starting to, you know, really adjust your internal operations as a business, as a company at your properties so that you can have the credibility as a business to, you know, put it on your packaging or put it out in a press release or all over your website and social media that you've earned green certification. We provide all of that for businesses and local government agencies. So if there's anyone, you know, listening today that feels that they are ready to make the, you know, to go down the path of zero waste for your business, um, you know, I'm just a phone call away.
What would you say about your guest appearance on this show?
Oh, you've been a very gracious host. I thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate you. What closing thoughts would you like to share with our listeners?
The green wave is coming, whether you like it or not. And it's better to be on top surfing the green wave rather than being under it and tumbling along. Society and newer generations of customers like Gen Z and Gen Alpha will be some of the largest blocks of consumers in the next 10 to 20 years. So it's important to align with their values of social justice, environmental justice, and corporate responsibility. So if you're not doing that already, it's important to get on board now. Don't wait.
Thank you so much, Stacy, for sharing your wisdom with us today. On the
Thank
behalf
you,
of
Mohammed.
connecting with the, on the behalf of connecting with the entire Formula community and our entire team, we really appreciate you. This is Muhammad Wes. Until the next episode, all good wishes.